Okay.
Only one thing is not tested.
Let's go. But
Okay. You're freestyling. Okay.
Just to engage in 3 scenes.
Perfect. Man, just you are the price. The price. So I will. Yes. Of course.
So I have from here, there, or something. Yeah, sometimes. So I have
Let me introduce you. Okay, thank you. Sí, uno, Dios, probando. Siempre hago esta broma porque tenía un amigo cura y probaba así el micrófono. 1, 2, 3. Es intraducible. Es just a Spanish joke. So, gracias a todas y todos por estar aquí. Si esto fuera un país donde la gente de efectos visuales fuera reconocida como debería ser, tendríamos aviones fletados desde todas las provincias, ¿vale? Autobuses habrían venido, ¿vale? Pero como los que sabemos el valor de esto somos ya guerreros nosotros mismos, ¿no? Nosotras mismas, pues el conocimiento es ahí, es una joya, ¿no? Vale, Paul Arion, yo quiero que algún día sea mi amigo. Ahora, de momento, lo que hacemos es pasarlo bien juntos, drink algunas beers y tal y cual. You and me will be friends in the future, right? Okay, man. Thank you. Okay. Pues eso, si estuviéramos hablando de artes marciales, estaríamos con Bruce Lee, ¿no? Si estuviéramos hablando de danza y de baile, estaríamos con Isadora Duncan. O sea, este hombre es el mejor del mejor, lo mejor de lo mejor, ¿vale? Es un número number, ¿vale? Entonces, me gustaría un fuerte aplauso, pero espera, todavía no. Me gustaría que aprovecharais un montón esto, su sabiduría, su conocimiento, independientemente de vuestra disciplina, chicos, ¿vale? Cuando alguien tiene enfrente a un cineasta de esta categoría, a un visual warrior de esta categoría, pues mira, lo que sea, lo que digas, enséñame lo que puedas, dime lo que quieras, cualquier cosa, estar aquí, preguntarte cualquier cosa, tal, ya va a ser la caña, ¿vale? Sabéis que tenemos un tiempo muy contenido porque él ha venido de fuera a dar clases a los másters, entonces tenemos un tiempo para esta actividad y enseguida él continúa con su clase, ¿vale? Pero bueno, intentad que os echen como a patadas, ¿no? Como Robert De Niro, ¿vale? En las pelis, ¿no? O sea, que os despeguen como con espátula, ¿vale? Y preguntadle todo lo que... Sacadle I'm telling them that treat you well, okay? And be gentle and sacarle sacarle ¿vale? Todo el jugo que podáis. Ahora sí, un fuerte aplauso, por favor, para Paul Arion.
Because I move a lot, like Oh. Ah. Hello. A pleasure to see you in such a great number. Thank you for coming. My name is Paul Arion. It's written on the poster outside. I've been in visual effects for 27 years or something like that for blockbuster films. So I have over 100 Hollywood films on my resume, and with a team around the world, 5 Oscars on my resume with the teams, right? So in visual effects. So I worked for some of the biggest films and some of the biggest players out there. company-wise, where I hope you will get inspired a little bit today and fight for it to go there. Okay, it's possible. Actually, everything is possible. I am self-trained in the 90s. When there was no school around, right? So I am rendering and doing animation and things. I am not an animator, but I'm rendering from before Windows 95, when Windows was a program, was not an operating system. Okay, so like I've been in a lot of departments. I've been from modeling. I was, well, actually, there's a funny story with, my first job was head of modeling in the 90s because I was the only guy. So it was like, oh, you're head of modeling. Where's the team? It's you. Okay, that's a good start, That was in Maya 1.0. And I got a job self-trained with a floppy disk with 1.44 megabytes. Okay, so everything is possible. And I think what everybody should have is passion and fight for it. See opportunities, see windows. Don't jump out the window, see windows of opportunity and try to take them, okay? I've done modeling, then I've done compositing. I was like 20 years ago a senior compositor in a program called Shake. I worked on silicon graphic machines. I was like, pretty much a lot. So then I went into layout for an animated film called The Wild for Walt Disney. This was directed by Steve Spaz Williams. He's the guy who made the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, all right? And The Abyss, where Photoshop was invented and all that things, right? So across my career, I worked with some amazing, amazing, talented people. And all that mattered was teamwork, all right? So teamwork is your friend. Your left and right person right here can save your career. Hold on tight. Okay, so it's very, very important. Like, to be a star is not necessarily the best thing, or to behave like a star. Be a star that helps people and go together up, because you will the director relies on all of us. All right, so that's very, very important. Then I had the job at a moving picture company. That was in 2008. I moved to England, UK from Canada, where I worked for like 7 years or so for MPC. And I was like the layout supervisor for Jungle Book, which I worked with Jon Favreau on set for a year. I planned all Jungle Book, the entire film, like 1,000 shots, extremely meticulous in something called TechViz, which is under the layout department, right? So layout department is a very diverse department. You can find pre-visualization there. You can find layout, which is some sort of pre-visualization. It's pretty much also previous when the previous specialized department is not there, right? And you have something called post-viz, which is some sort of previous and layout, right? So you actually post-viz is closer to reality, where you have a plate, right? A plate, somebody shoots a film, and things you replace now for real behind them, right? So it's a previous with a plate, which is a more precise and better previous. And then you have technical visualization. That means if any technical thing, our camera moves, where the distances are, people go and shoot on set things, everything is calculated, nothing is just to be, right? So everything, like if you have visual effects specifically, if there is like outside the Hulk, right? So is he tall? Is he short? Can I see his eyes, right? So you have all this animated components around you, and you need to know where they fit, right? Because everything is virtual. So all of this can fall under a layout, like a mature layout department. Now, depends on the company you work. They have more or less of what I just told you. Like so the bigger corporations, they kind of have these flavors, right? Now, previous can be a separate department, which is previous pre-visualization, right? So pre-visualization deals with script to storyboard, storyboard to replace the storyboard with lensing and 3D cameras and blocking stuff, right? So it's like a better version of a storyboard. It's not a better one, it's the evolution one, right? Because and film goes through steps and evolutions, and that is very important. Everybody's important. That's the most important thing. Everybody's important, right? It's just how you hand information from one to the other is this machine of filmmaking. If you're in animation or in visual effects, it's the same. It's a huge machine and has art and tech, okay? So you have artistical skills and technical skills. In this department, in the front pipeline, like we call it, right? So more towards the beginning, if you have technical skills and artistical skills, it's very good, right? Because you cannot escape one, neither or, right? So if you have only technical skills, they will call you to fix something, right? If you have artistical skills, they will give you some art, convert this to this, put a camera, move something around, or fix somebody else's thing, or fix some animation, and too many things can go wrong. That is the deal. That is called visual effects. Probably too many things can go wrong is the synonym of visual effects. All right. So that's why teamwork and everybody together to make a film is the most important thing. Okay. But most important thing, we evolved so much, and actually even with no super budgets, right, you can do something to tell a story. Like all this previous storyboard layout tried first of all to do a story. You try to tell a story that it has a continuity, and you're working for a big corporation, it is not your story. Okay, so we're helping somebody else to make this film, right? So that's why teamwork is important. If you are alone and you want to do everything, which I don't really suggest, you know, then you think differently. But working always, most of the career, most people work for somebody else, right? So all specialties, all here, all of us, all of you want to learn a craft to make a movie. Like initially, you want to go the biggest movie. So when you have the biggest movie, you always work for somebody else, right? Because you need experience one day even to say, probably I will make a film, which is amazing, and you should. You should take your phone and take the pen, write something down, and try to connect 30 seconds of an edit. Then nobody will see. But you will see it, and you learn from mistakes. I made a lot of short films. Nobody saw them. All right? But then I made some short films that a lot of people seen, because it's an evolution, and you actually try to do better, to go and learn more. And then you learn from each other. All right? I am trying to inspire usually, not to show you some buttons in Maya or something like this, because it's, you know, there are so many flavors, there's so many options in making films, you know, and I hope you will find your call. You have to find your call as early as possible, because that's the best. You have some extra years on top of somebody that wants to change career at 40, right? So you could already have like 15, 20 years in. So 15, 20 years, if you are passionate and are there, you will probably be a lead or a supervisor or something, you know, because it's a big machine and all this experience try to teach more juniors, of mids, to go higher and higher. Tech evolved, but people evolved too, right? So people are better and better. Tech is better and better. Films look better and better. Stories are worse and worse, but we don't go there. That's another problem. Okay. I would like to show you now my visual effects demo reel. Okay, through like 16 years or something like that, and then to hopefully you get inspired. What you see in here, I've done with so many people, with so many amazing people, and so many memories in every shot. Okay. Yeah. Can they see? Can they see? I hope. I put it here. You know they can see. No, that's mine. You cannot go there. This too. Like this was the best in the. Entire screen. Yes. No, what's it? Because the screen was not here. Oh no, entire screen. No, entire screen. It's here. Sure. It's shared. You cannot see that, but it's shared. Share the screen and sound. Yes, you have to bring this with university, yeah? Yes. I'm short master. No, I screen share this. Can you check that? Because not see. Because this was my screen, so this is the share. Maybe yes. Yeah, they can see. Okay, they can see.
Wait a second.
Yes? No, that's good, yeah.
We can move it.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Thank you. I have to mute this microphone.
Oh, you move it here?
No.
There was a moment in time that I heard my bionic leg. I hope you liked. I mean, this is like 16 years. Okay. It's not. I worked on a lot more, but there's some quite crazy films, and a lot of hours, and a lot of people. Okay. I've done nothing by myself. All right. Which is very important. Because this mass effort of people, okay, to do this. We can go a little bit lower with the gain, yeah. Go to the just a little bit lower. Yeah. A lot of the shots that you've seen there, they are animation, okay. Like a lot of them, especially the last two shots, which is some of the craziest shots. It's full animation, right? So it's like an animated film, but rendered, well, different techniques, but it is animated, full CG. A lot of them actually were. In VFX, you try to avoid them, but you can't. Okay, so I worked for, I was the global head of layout for DNAG, which is, I left 2 years ago almost. They invited me to build a layout team in 2015 or something like that. And when I left, it was the biggest layout team in the world, with like close to 400 people in layout in all planet. Okay? Like from Vancouver, Montreal, London, Mumbai, Chennai, we have Australia, and more. Okay, so there were, I think, 10,000 people at one point. Well, there were some tough times lately, and a lot of people struggled with films, as you know, in the last 3 years. But it's coming back. Okay, I left and I made my own company. It's called Control Chaos. It's a good title for this field. Control Chaos, VFX. And me and my team specialized in the front pipe, right? We do layout, previous, tech, vis, shoot planning, all these things. I also made a company because I directed some things, and I'm directing a feature film right now, which is a recording of a music album in the Arctic Circle, freestyling with locals. It's really cool, actually. It's a feature film that comes out, and I'm preparing another feature film right now, which I'm using my skills in my company to do the story, right? Story, previous, right? All these things. Both ways, because I think it's faster if the director does with the team the story digitally, right? So the iterations are faster. And it's just like a better experience, because in these very big machines of companies, this is like data goes back and forth from clients to approvals to here to there. So it's like, it is the best experience is right there to tell the story with the director. And I just happen to know this, right? Which is good for me. Okay. It's good for the director not to go mad. All right. Do you have any questions about this field of any field of filmmaking?
How can the pipeline from a company can change the production?
How can a pipeline change?
Like in several companies, you have like the different pipelines. So this can change the production?
That is correctly. So all big corporations have their own pipeline, which is a very big thing and a very, very complicated thing. There are only, I would say, there are under 10 matured pipeline on the planet. Like, people think they all have pipelines, but they don't. As I mentioned, like a pipeline can be just a button that you go load, save somewhere else, then on your desktop, and you go pipeline. But all corporations have their own one. They are very protective of it. That's like intellectual property. That's a very good question. So when artists move from one company to the other, it takes quite some time to learn this pipeline, right? So all the time there are teams helping all newcomers to decipher what is this pipeline, okay? Because it's very convoluted, because there are up to like 20 teams in a pipeline that have so many levels of experience in each and data has to go from one to the other. So a pipeline is how data goes from one department to the other in simple terms, right? In hard terms, in like realities, like it takes like 5 years to say I have a mature pipeline, and then the maintenance of it is forever, okay? Because tech is so fast. You know, when you think like, oof, now I have it, and somebody goes like USD, and then you go, oh no, 3 years, all right? So they're all individual pipelines, they don't share. But the people have experiences in all these companies that bring experience from everywhere to do the specific pipeline better all the time. I was designing the front pipeline of DNAC basically for quite some time. It's a lot of technology, it's a lot of things, and the most important about in these departments is how you scale up. How do you do 10,000 shots? Okay, so it's not about like I do a sequence of 3 or 5, like these monster companies, they have 10,000 shots in the pipeline any day. So then you go, ooh, what do I do with this, right? And each requires adjustments for specific films, right? So you want to make one that has no adjustments and functions, which is Mission Impossible, right? Make sense?
Yes.
Was there a question over there? Somebody? You were, yeah.
How do you usually plan or prepare for a layout for your layout shots?
It's a very good question. I have no clue. I'm joking. I'm joking. Well, just to make it simple, like the most efficient layout is the one that doesn't change. You do not want to have one-offs, right? So let's take this room here. Somebody made this layout, right? Now, if you have to have continuity and shoot and something, if I start to move this thing around, in some shots it's here, in some shots it's there, in some shots it's not even here. You think it's a joke, it happens every day. Somebody wants to move something around, you know. That's how this, anything, right? So the best layout is when you plan, is how you put somebody to supervise that you have consistent layouts. You cannot have 100% consistent layouts because there are some artistical choices that need to be made. You try to avoid them, okay? Make sense? So a layout is two things, unmovable objects and the movable objects. If you have a character coming in, a spaceship flying by, that needs to move. But if you rotate the building all the time and the window goes somewhere there, right? The spaceship, when it comes, does not look good, right? Because it could jump around, you can confuse people, it can be so many things. So in layout, you do blocking as well, right? So you do blocking of a character. You do not do final animation at all, right? So it depends on the level and the agreement. You either slide characters in, right, from here to there, or you can block some poses, or you can do more. That's an agreement, how much per show, let's say. Yeah? Make sense? So the best layout, try not to do one-offs. Every one-off is more expensive than the one, right? Like, well, I told in my class yesterday and the day before, the other one, crazy one is water levels. So water levels, I'm not sure why people like to move them up and down, right? So it just happens because the water is a plane in layout initially, right? There are solutions, sometimes it's not, but we don't go there. Just imagine a plane of water and you have a ship on it. Somewhere around in the pipeline, somewhere around in hundreds of people working on these things in another continent you never met. moves the water level, right? So higher or lower. So this is not expected, but it will show up in the render. Floating boats, you see nothing because the ground is there. You see, like, these are just some examples. The list is endless. So that's how you plan for layout, and that's how you avoid. You say, how do you plan for layout? And I will tell you, don't do this. But it makes sense, yeah? Okay. Any more questions? Yes.
How's the communication between the director and the layout? How it works?
It's a good question. So communication between directors and departments, like layout previous, it's all the time different, right? So sometimes you work with the director. If you're in a previous company or storyboard department, right? You could be on set. So every day you are there with the team, right? Because the director has very limited time, and he just is brought in for some notes to see where we are, not to travel to the studios, because the studios are not on set. It makes sense? But then in the studio, the directors are coming as well. So over there, it depends, but usually it's either with the head of layout or with the supervisor of layout directly. That's kind of how it operates. Sometimes you don't even see them. So, sometimes you see them more, less, if that makes sense. Yeah.
What do you do when you get stuck in like filmmaking or in layout or premise?
How do you get stuck? You mean like if you
What do you do if you get stuck?
Stuck as in like you don't know what to do? You struggle?
You struggle in a show.
Remember the team, some left and right person can help you and save your life. So if you're in these facilities that are thousands of people, somebody knows any question. You just have to find the person. There are tickets, there are this, but a lot of experience from the past, even in the teams, you help yourself out. It's very, very rarely that you go, nobody knows. I don't think I heard that. Well, you don't have, it doesn't exist, right? Because nobody cares, the client. You will have to come up with a solution. So somebody will come up with a solution. But in these big facilities, you have computer programmers, like a lot of them, right, that are doing a whole bunch of things, like helping out, not even pipeline only, right? Solutions like, how do you put 1 million houses in front of the camera, for example? So if you come in layout and go, how do we put like 1 million houses? We go, well, no, that's not my problem. I put 1,000 boxes, it's there, in cases like this. So somewhere, then you have researchers, like proper researchers, right? Well, there is a lot of documentation about Interstellar, for example, which the company I worked for had an Oscar for. So that was I think he's a master physicist from Oxford, right? In the building that knew black holes, not perfectly, because he called the other guy, right? Because Kip Thorne, which is one of the biggest specialists in history of black holes and time warps, it's a very good 700-page book. Read it, it's really good. So we called that guy, So that guy came up with we need to calculate this. You see? So getting stuck, as in, we cannot do this. It is not possible. We don't take that for an answer. You know what I mean? And we try to figure it out with any possible way. Make sense? Oh, what a good question, huh? Whoa, Is this recorded? Yes. It is huge that if an animator has layout skills, it is amazing. Okay, because one of Lad's jobs, debatable, fights out there, anything you want, layout to fix things. So layout is more technical. It's also a technical department, right? What that means by technical is when you have a pipeline, right? It's a very rigid process. You cannot send whatever you want to the next guy in another city that you never met, right? You can't. So when something is not publishable, let's say, we call it, right? That means you try to save and it fails. It goes like, unidentified locators, 28. You go, whoa, you know. So working for these corporations, right, they said you need to know the pipeline and the technology, how to operate in it, right? Because the pipeline needs to know specific things. In some pipeline it works, in some pipelines it does not, right? Some companies have something, some companies have something else. So when an animator has layout skills and technical skills, right, he knows also pipeline better, and he will never call you or open a ticket, right? Because people open tickets when something doesn't work. And you go like to the question, like what when you get stuck? When you get stuck, you press some buttons, you go, problem. And then somebody goes like, I know how to solve it, right? In somewhere, okay? So there are facilities because they're so big that some tech is 24/7 because when these people go to bed, the other wake up. Like in India and Montreal, Vancouver, you see? So technical, yes, you know. And if you have very good animation skills, if you go through layout to go to animation, all corporations would value you highly, like very highly. Make sense, why? Hopefully it makes sense. Because most technical things are things with the pipeline, right? That is the technical aspect. There are artistical, technical aspects of how you execute some crazy shot, you know. That is something else, right? But that is after you figure out how, you need to unfigure it to fit in the pipeline, right? You see, so it's a two-edged sword. Right? So it's not exactly like at home when you do whatever you want. That is very important. Make sense? More questions? Yes?
You told us how you worked in modeling and previous layout of those. If you need to choose one of those places to work, what would you choose?
I still think the front pipeline is the best, most diverse sort of department there is, like, because it covers a lot more, so it's not as boring. But I mean, I chose that, so it's not boring for me. But you do multiple tasks that are different, right? So these tasks that are different makes you think every day, how do we do this? How do you do this? Oh no, a pipeline problem now. Oh, okay. Now you do some previous. Okay, how do we tell the story? All right, do I have to fix something from another department? They have to look into some tech viz, like they're calling from set, right? You see, like it's different things. So you learn a lot in the front pipeline. You learn a lot because you have to simulate reality. So you need to know a lot about reality, right? How fast the car drives, right? Because you make films with cars. Then you go, how fast can this car go from 0 to 100? You see? Because you make a film with cars, then you make a film with tanks, then with planes, then with clouds, then with boats, then with oceans, then with anything, right? Because it's all these films are reality. And you just read and read and read to see how you do best. Make sense? So that's why I think it's not so boring as a department. Sometimes you travel, if you're more senior after a while or so, you could go on set, you could go. I lived 1 year in Hollywood. That was great with Jungle Book. They sent me over there for a year. So I calculated 1 year. It's not boring, but it's very tedious, okay? So all these jobs are very, very tedious because nothing gets just like, oh, whatever. Nothing is whatever. Every pixel somebody will see is wrong. And it's like, look at that. Who done that? Bring him here. You see? So there's so many trained eyes looking at these works. So there's specialist after specialist after specialist after specialist. It's like bosses of specialists. So whatever you do, they will see. Somebody sees. Sometimes, they go, oh, how is this possible that it's in a film? They saw it, trust me. And they go, no more money. Final. Okay, it's not like it's in your face. Don't think that somebody hasn't seen it. Right, so, more question? What do you recommend now to new existing generations and coming have much more resources than before, which means at the same time more jobs and more people in the industry to find a place? Well, it's, you already say a little bit who have more resources, right? So you have no excuse because you already have more resources. So if you have more resources, you need to exercise and train, do something. You know what I mean? Like pick a camera, pick a pen, pick a program, tell a story. Tell a story. Write something. Like write 1 page, half a page. It doesn't matter. If you go, I'm not good in writing, take a book. Take a short story book. Take any book. Take 2 pages of a book. You know what I mean? It's endless. What you have to do is do something. Right? Most people don't do something. That's a fact. Like most people, one day, the famous words, one day I will write a book. One day I will make a film. One day I will write a song, 3 albums. One day. So stop saying that. Pick a pen and do something. It's very difficult to finish something. Very easy to start something. Most people don't start. But then when you start, some people go like, oh, I've been working on this short film for 9 years. I was like, 9 years, man. Whoa. Must be a masterpiece. But then in reality, it's one day I don't have time and I'm this and, I have a job and it takes extra effort to do something. But you need this extra effort, And then, for all I talked about this a little bit in these days, you need to have passion. Find your passion. ASAP. Find what you want to do. Okay? You go, I want to tell stories. Tell stories. Do something about it, right? Or like, I love previews. Amazing. Do some previews. It takes extra hours of your own time to be better than the rest, because the rest are not doing it. You can do universities while other people are on the couch watching TV. That's what I said a lot of times. You could be actually in your room creating something, or you can do every day on the couch, watch some TV. If you calculate mathematically, if you just add 1 hour per day, right? Or 2 hours per day, I had more than 2 hours per day, but you can just calculate how many hours you are is a program in a university, right? And you go 2 hours per day, you make another university on your own. I've done a few of them, right? Because I believe in that. So you have to be very dedicated if you want to be the best in this field, because you want to go with the best. But it's an amazing field. It's a beautiful field with beautiful people that I believe. I believe in that, okay? More questions?
Now in your own studio, how do you manage the inspiration, mixing it with your own experience in credits and layout?
Yeah, that's a good question, but I do stories, I write, I direct, so I have a whole of my own content that keeps me on my feet and inspired, so usually I just need to figure out how to do something, how we do this story working, like then I try it in previous, how to put the story together with the teams, if I don't work for somebody else with my company, like I'm talking business, so when it's no business, well, it's half for me because I want to do my own stories, if that makes sense. But one of the things is the fire in you, the passion, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's good to see what other people do to stay inspired, to be there, you know what I mean? Make sense?
What are some of your favorite projects that you've worked on and why?
One of my most favorite project was Prometheus. I worked directly with Ridley Scott in its Alien. So you can't go wrong with Alien. So this first time Alien was brought back. I'm a massive Alien 1 fan. And I was the lead on Prometheus. I put the pyramid in place myself, and I landed Prometheus on that spot. So, so it's a little bit like some projects you love to work on, and it's also how the road you made it. And for Prometheus, there was the most unbelievable themes I've seen, because everybody went like Alien. It's the most passion I've seen in a film, to be honest. From anybody wanted to just come to do something with Alien. That is one, and then Jungle Book, because it's kind of like one of my babies. 1 year, 1,000 shots. I just calculated nonstop how to execute. So for that film, I was technical. It's like technical supervisor on set. You see, like another type of job. It is where the camera should be. How you calculate things. Actually, I have an image here that is a little bit ridiculous. Let me see if I can find it fast. Yeah, this one. I'm not sure if you can see at home. Yeah. I think you can see at home as well. Oh, no. Here, not. No, at home they can see now, but not you, I guess. But you see, like, teamwork? Like, you just sit here and you just hear, like, they're coming, something is not working. You know what I mean? This is exactly in VFX, I thought they moved it here or not, and you don't see, but somebody just tried to help. We are together in this. This is exactly this. You send them, it's like, do you share? Yeah. No, you don't. Okay. So this is teamwork. So like here, right? Talking about like passion calculation. So that is a swimming pool in downtown LA in a parking lot. I calculated it should be 7x4 or something. So from there, that's the image. Like nothing is real, including his legs. Right? So at one point you go, we need more movement in the legs when they sing. Somebody go, okay. So let's take that. First, right? You have to paint out those legs. Then somebody comes back. Then there's a whole crazy process to reach to that image. Not to bore you with match movement, body tracks, and rotoscoping and all that. But everything is possible, right? Even after you calculate that, and that's in the film, right? So those are not his legs, and even this part of his hand is not real, right? Because somebody decided it's easier if we remove a little bit of the hand too. For a reason, right? So usually it's like a VFX supervisor with some teams, with some compositing supervisor. They go, yes, no, what do we do? What is easier? Teamwork. All right, so this is that's another example of a film that is quite inspirational. More questions?
How much creative freedom do you usually have within a director's notes?
Well, the machine of filmmaking, okay, relies on iterations, even if people accept it or not. So iterations is, well, I think there, was it Brad Bird that said this, show me something so I can change it. All right, that's a very good sentence in VFX. So it's like, show me something so I can change it. Right, so you have a take on something, but I would not say that you have creative freedom as in your project at all, right? But everybody chips in with something. So in there is a part of you, but it's not this creative freedom. Go, well, I think that I removed the car that was there. I thought it looks better. I think the entire room go like, huh? Right? Because it doesn't work like that. Remember, you make a film for somebody else. So that's an important thing. There are some creative freedoms, but not as much as people think you have before you work for these big films. Yeah? There was somebody there, I think.
What are the biggest differences in the pipeline between VFX movies and fully animated movies?
The difference between them is you have a plate that is huge and painful. So you are locked to what was shot. Make sense? So somebody shoots something in the camera. So now they take that, let's say if some green, blue screen, or the sky has to be replaced, some creature, some spaceship, anything. So a plate is coming in the facility. So that is the major difference. So with that plate, you are locked to it. There are a lot of variation of how you unlock that plate with a lot of money. Okay, you can throw it away, you can use half of it, you can change it, you can add to it, but there's something else. But that is the major difference. In an animated film, everything is not real, right? In a visual effects film, there are aspects of it that are real.
But you follow the same steps, reading and
Everything is the same. Everything is the same because parts of a lot of the shots you've seen there was animation pure, but it's just a different field. You aim for photorealism. You aim to be real, so people don't know it's not real. In a full animated film like a Pixar or any of them, I don't think there is a confusion that this is real. ever, right? Well, Wall-E was real, but that's another, I'm a believer. Make sense? So because you have a plate, in the pipeline, you have a lot of extra steps to do. Make sense? There is something called match move, right? Match move is a process where you look at this plate, software looks at plates, you type in some information like camera information, lens, and all this to simulate that camera you were shot with, film back, all this, and then a team match move is this, and you get a CG camera out of it. And this is how we do tricks. Right, so right now you have a CG camera here with a plate in front. So in theory, you can put a CG element in front of the camera. Makes sense? It's a lot more complicated, but there's just simple explanation, yeah? Make sense? But people from VFX jump into animation any day. You can work for both, yes. Well, DNEG, so DNEG, the company I worked for, there is an entire floor of animation and like 5 floors of VFX. You know, because it's easier in VFX. I am joking. Both of them are hard, right? Both of them are hard, but it's another medium that is similar, that you could actually work in animation and go to VFX. Yeah. There are people that go into games, for example. That jump is a lot harder than animation to VFX. Yeah. If that makes sense. There was another question somewhere. Yes? When it's in the cinema. Yeah. They always want more until there is no more days left. Right? So films are bid. Everything is a business, right? It's about money. Right? There's art, but it's money. So sometimes, most of the times actually, there is a deadline that this film needs to go on in the cinema, right? So everybody just works towards that deadline. So you, in previous or in storyboard or in any of these fields, a superior of yours, no matter who you are, there will be somebody above, okay? That will say enough, or you go like, done, final, we need to move on, all right? Not every single shot is like this, but to answer your question, when do you know everything is done? You never know. Yeah. A good part is like in the front pipeline compared to the compositing department, there are a lot of people after you in previous and layout. There is nobody after you in comp, right? So if there are errors that adds up, that last guy needs to fix them. If there is no more time to come back to somewhere else, or the decision was made, you know? Make sense? Good? More questions, or we good?
Do you usually like work with the same people, with different people, and like if it's different people, do you just do a movie with them and then you never see them again? Or do you like make contacts?
Well, like I try to build teams that I stick with them, because I invest a lot of time to build. Let's say you're a junior, you finish school, and I hire you. So to bring you at the level, I spend a lot of energy, and probably one of my guys, like some senior person, spends a lot of energy, and another guy, something with the pipeline. So if I decided to hire you, I will invest in you, and if you're good and fit in the team, I don't want to get rid of you because I teach you so much. I want to continue to make you stronger and better. Make sense? Because teaching and hiring from new, and I don't want to work with these people, it costs a lot of money. Corporations, right? Not to mention, they go like, you can teach 5 people, They go, oh, I don't want to work with these people. Let's take 5 more people. I mean, my subs, they go, what are you doing, man? Right? Because we just teach these people finally. Make sense? No. So very important for all of you to have an in to one of these big corporations, if you can, as soon as possible, and work hard to stay there. And then you jump from one to the other a little bit, and you do some of these things, and then you have a better career. The start is very difficult, because it's a huge competition. There are so many things. It's not always that somebody doesn't hire somebody because I don't know what. Because inside of the corporation, there's so many things. They'll be like, oh, I think you're hiring or not. Like, you're not hiring for 6 months, for example, right? Or if you hire 1, you need, or 3, this is the task. I need 3 seniors. And then there are budgets, and it's very complex. Make sense? Well, there was one more question here, I think, or we move on? Very good questions, honestly. Yeah, very good questions, because, like pipeline questions and, this and Sophia. Is the process of work different between working with an original story and an adaptation of a book, for example? No. Next question. There is the process have nothing to do with what this film is about. There's nothing with it. Like, because you do images for somebody else that he hopefully has a vision for their films. Right? So when they are coming in, you execute. And as I mentioned, there's so many people in this process that you don't just invent some colors and lights and all this, right? Because it's a process. Like from before, there are concept arts, there are storyboards, there are, so they're just coming in on an execution level. And why? Very, very logic. Because you make a bid process and they pay for it, right? So you usually go, how many spaceships are there? 4. Okay, 4. Okay, the camera moves, static, not, yes, no. You go 20 bid days. 20 bid days in layout, 15 animation, 10 here, 5 there, right? So it's in bid days. So how long it takes for somebody to do that, and somebody in there will put a number on the bid day, and that's the cost, right? Sophia? Okay. Then I guess we move on. But very good questions, honestly. Like, amazing. Try to come out like Superman, didn't work out. Must be the lunch that didn't help me out for the last 10 years. Yeah. Back to the gym. Just give me a second. Yes. No, not yet. I just a little bit. I will go a little bit of theory. Stop share. Okay, this one is good, no? I will show this, then I will show another video of some examples, and then we go to this. Okay. All right. So, for some reason, the image moves in shared, but screen. I will not fix it now. I will open up a ticket where nobody will fix it. I wanted to. There are 3 phases to what I am trying to do next. One, story. When you say story, you can say all of these things. You know, some people are like, oh, is there a storyboard? Or is there a layout? Is there a previous? What's happening? Like story is like from the first rows in a script. Then the rest, up to let's send it to animation, is story. You know, so we all try to make a continuity, to do some sort of use pens, paper, Maya, Unreal, whatever, Houdini, anything, right? To tell a story and to say, okay, cool, it's working now. Let's animate and go to render, right? So it's the same, you know. So I want just to show a little bit of. I will go a little bit fast. I went yesterday a little bit through this, but just some rules, you know, some cinematography rules that you actually do and use in every day when you think about story. Is it storyboard or previous or layout? Yeah. So these ones are when you have nothing but some text and you have to create something, right? That something is called an edit. So an edit is built out of sequences and out of shots, for example, right? So an edit is some continuing, like a continuous shots, multiple shots in a row that needs to be coherent for somebody to understand what you want to say, right? So your medium is film, animation, whatever it is. Story is story. Story is from back in the cave, you know. So somebody even near the fire, better storyteller or worse. No, kind of like, can this guy tell the story instead of this guy, please? Because I don't understand him. It comes from there, you know, storytellers. And here, some rules evolved in time to make more coherent storytelling, to make more coherent stories. Okay. And if you follow some of them, you have a good start. There are a lot of them, right? But some of them, kind of like some basics of cinematography or storytelling. So this one is one of the most important ones. It's called the rule of, well, the line of action. Okay. So the line of action, okay, is between 2 subjects. For example, the most easiest is all films have talking characters, talking creatures, lines, animation, whatever it is. So when they are facing each other, there's an imaginary line between them. And in order to be safe, you put the camera either on this side or on the other side of this line of action. All right? Very important. Yes, people break them, but they know this rule. Okay? So it's good to start with. You need to know, and then you can break them. Okay? There are rules how you can break them too. There are rules for everything. Okay? But this is a very good one, right? Because if the cameras are all on this side, right? So if the cameras are on this side, I'm talking about multiple cameras, right, that you put in an edit, you establish a better geography of the situation here. If suddenly one camera is on this side, like it'll be confusing because you think that the actors swap places, for example. There is more to it, but this one, it's confusing, right? So if you put all cameras here or here, very good start. Okay, just this rule, very good start. Like shots like this, over the shoulder called, yeah. Right, so you put them on this side or on that side. So an over the shoulder shot is an over the shoulder shot, right? So you see both characters and one is present there. So a shot like this is very, very common in all films. Like watch any film. Most of them are over the shoulder shots and then POVs, right? So this important on a shot like this is the eye line. Okay, the eye line here to look at the other character, which is important, right? Or if you stage some of this, you will see that sometimes you look in the camera or in the camera on a film, anything. CG, like completely animated films, because nothing is there to direct, right? You just move them. You will have this a lot. I mean, your character goes like, he has to be there, right? Eye line. On set, you go, okay, I almost rotate a little bit, okay, and it goes like, oh, fixed, right? So in CG, you go, and then it goes like, where are you looking? It's very common. It's very common problem. It will not be final. Okay? Make sense? So this is like a very good rule. The second most famous, probably this is even more famous, is called rule of thirds. Right? So when you frame for something, when you make storyboards, you put your character somewhere on these lines, and then you're better off. Bye. Make sense? This is very, very famous. Use it. Yes, you can put the character in the center. You can do anything you want. I am trying to come up with some rules so you understand a little bit better cinematography and where you're gonna go to know these rules. Okay? So this is like a rule of third shot, for example. Right, and it's just more pleasant to the eye than having this character in the middle of the frame. So I shot this in Vietnam. I shot this this one, diagonals. I like diagonals. If you like them, use them. Or if somebody forces you to do them, do them. All right, makes sense. So diagonals are cool. Eye flow, usually like eye flow, I describe it where you watch first the image and then you start to wander around to find more interesting things. Like, you go there and then you follow the line and you start to find some interesting things in there, So with more interesting shapes. This is a frame in a frame, very famous. You see it in all films, right? Where something is frame in a frame. So that's another rule. Geometrical shapes, right? Triangles, blah. There are multiple directors or artists. Some like them or not, or right. So I just go through some rules because this is what you encounter in this business. Horizon lines, like where do you put a horizon line in front of the camera? Usually if you put it in the middle or in the lower third or in the higher third, you're fine. All right, so it looks better to the eye. S shapes and curves, it's another one. All right, so a lot of like things that are in the frame look good. small and big, right? You see this a lot in like expensive films where it's a very wide shot. It costs more. It costs more. You see more, but use them if you are part of a endless money grab in this business. Right? So like these are really cool. You see them a lot, but usually in big films, right? Where the camera is back, and you see like some small thing and like a mega storm or, more expensive, but I love them. Playing with silhouettes, right? Shooting against the sun is great. It's not bad, right? Because it has this feel, camera moves around and the sun goes right between the leaves, trees, cars swooping around. These are like very good tricks. Usually, like amateurs don't shoot; they go not in the sun, and professionals goes like in the sun, because they're really good. This is like some sort of like Z depth. I call this one. Z depth is very important in both mediums, right? Because the atmospheric effect that is going away from the camera. When you see films, when they shoot films, they are bringing haze machines and haze the rooms, which in reality is not. But it's not so cool, right? Because if I haze this now and I put the camera here, then actually you dissipate a little bit in the sort of background, right? So computers, this is especially in animated films, the renderer spits you out a Z-depth path, which you apply to affect objects in the distance unevenly. So it's not just like, let's blur the image, or it's the distance from the camera, okay? But if this image was not like this, if it was just clean and clear, I would not use it, right? So I made these pictures because it had that, right? Think outside the frame is another technique, right? Where you film like some texture, something that the viewer thinks it's endless or more or bigger than what it is, right? So here, it could be there is nothing 2 meters on the left, but you don't know. So it looks like I'm a Roman. Because in an edit, which is also your responsibility telling stories, in an edit, if you put 2 shots before and after of something in this world, you go Rome, Anno Domini, 200, right? But you don't have more than that. You see? So everything is in context, and every story has to be told in context of the edit. Breaking the lines. Very, very used, very boring to have nothing there, just like a line of horizon. A lot of companies just put church steeples and things to break the line, okay? Symmetry, right? So symmetrical shapes and all this. We are symmetric, so we love symmetry. Some people use a lot of symmetry, some don't like them, but it's another technique, right? So if you do symmetrical things, and this one, overlap, where you have a whole bunch of things and all these rules collide, right? So using rule of third, using diagonals, using people, using like depth, there are a whole bunch of interesting things in this image. In Morocco, including myself paying $10 to this guy in the front. All right, so I went a little bit fast, like just because, for you, like, so these are a whole bunch of rules that if you follow them, you make better images and you tell better stories, right? Because a story is not just what happens to somebody, is cinematography and lighting and how you actually fill the frames with your subject. You have a frame, use it, all right? Because if not, somebody will comment, the supervisor go, too much empty space, closer, closer, cut from here, go closer, no good. Characters lost in frame, right? Because you have a whole frame, so use it. All right? This is this. I want to show you, what's the time? 7. We have time, no? I can show you a demo reel. Oh yeah, sorry, this is my English clock. I came through the wormhole. All right, you want to see some, this is some previous, so it's like the Control Chaos, my company's demo reel. It's a whole bunch of previous, which is looks, frames, films, and all these things. It's also some post-viz in it. Let me try to load it so you can see some more examples, which is not VFX like before, right? So this is just purely pre-visualization and post-visualization and tech visualization. It's the same problem again. I think this is here, no? Two. Yeah, so as I mentioned, this is the Control Chaos demo, which we try to hit some high-level standards of image cinematography, not grayscale plate blasts, and a whole bunch more. But as you can see, here's a lot of animation, right? So people go animation, animation. There's a lot of animation there, right? So you will do animation, you will do sometimes no animation, it depends, sometimes motion capture, sometimes whatever it is, right? And a little bit of everything. There was, if you probably seen there, it was written previous, post-whiz, or tech-whiz, right? You post-whiz, who can tell me what's the post-whiz difference there? There was a whole bunch of silo for there, which is a great show. Somebody can tell me, post-whiz, what was the difference there? Here. The difference is there is a plate, right? Well, actually, you can't see it. No, at home they can see it. Ah, okay. Oh yeah, I see. Because it's from home they control it. So in a shot like this and like this is a plate on the bottom, and then the top is a full CG thing. So this is a previous with plate, but you don't call it previous if the plate is there. You call it post-whiz because it's after the shot, right? And then from here on down, you time the lights of CG, plate, CG again, right there and there. Make sense? That is the major difference. So here it's a previous of the same film because there was no plate. Going to here is, this is actually, well, it is the post, it's not the post, that's wrong. My mistake. So this one is a tech viz, right? So tech viz, we really want to shoot this previous. So in order to shoot it, I need to technical breakdown it, how to shoot it. So this road here, well, this is the shot. This is a perspective view, what's happening with speeds. So if your camera goes 400 miles the hour, your previous is wrong. Somebody will call you to say, can you bring it down to 100? Because we need to shoot this, Paul. Sorry. Right? This part here is actually, this was not randomly just done. This is actually a place in the world. This road exists, and we built that road from satellite images exactly on length, speed, and everything. So if you want this shot, you can go to Australia on Henry Road, take a car with 100, put the camera, and that's what you see. Right? So, you know, this is the precision that you work in this business. If makes sense? So important to understand the differences between them, all under the same umbrella possible, called layout. All right? Any questions for the end?
¿Tenéis algunas preguntas, chicos? ¿Algunas preguntas que queráis preguntar? ¿Vale? Porque lo que haremos ahora será ya la charla y pasaremos a la Master Class, a la clase propiamente ¿vale? de Previs y Layout y Story, que es el máster que toca esta tarde, ¿sí? Entonces, ¿algunas preguntas que tengáis por aquí? Por ahí. Ah, ¿sí? Ok, perfecto. Pues entonces, a borrar lo que acabo de decir.
All good? All good?
All good. So I think we end the
Yes. That's like go in your box.
we end here because you get your master. We end here.
Oh, it's a,
Para todos, ¿vale?
yeah.
Muchas gracias.
Like, hope you enjoyed. Thank you. Thank you so much, and hope you enjoyed it and learned something. And the applications are at the door. Yeah, no, I'm joking, but I really do. I have inspired you a little bit today. Okay. Thank you.